I am Lawrence Chuno, and this is Doing Jazz. Hello everyone, and welcome to Doing Jazz. My name is Lawrence Chuno, and this episode is with vocalist Abigail Rockwell. Abigail is a talented vocalist whose singing effortlessly tells a unique, intimate story to each listener. Her new album, Autumn Noir, is a collection of 12 songs with arrangements that are meticulously executed to preserve the power and intimacy of Abigail's interpretations. The song playing in the background is called Libertango. During my conversation with Abigail, you'll hear the song Miss Brown to You. Towards the end of our conversation, you'll hear the song Voodoo Swing. These songs are all from the album Autumn Noir. After listening to this episode, you can learn more about Abigail Rockwell by going to the website of the show, www.doingjazz.net. You can follow the show on Instagram and Twitter. The handle is @doingjazz. And you can listen to more episodes of Doing Jazz by subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or any of the available podcast vendors. If you're on Spotify, please follow the Doing Jazz playlist, a one-stop playlist for songs by all the Doing Jazz guests so far. While on iTunes, please rate the show, leave a comment, and share the show with your loved ones. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I present Abigail Rockwell. In your face.
Come here. In the dance of opposites, the truth becomes clear.
Okay.
So I don't get headphones.
No, you don't. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. I'm a voiceover person, so I'm
I know.
always
So
used to
you're
headphones.
used to headphones, yeah, but
But I think it's good because otherwise I'd be too overly conscious of my voice.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah, true. So just talk.
Hey, I didn't warm up for you or anything.
That's fine. That's fine. We're warming up now. All right. Abigail Rockwell.
Hey.
Welcome to Doing Jazz.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you.
It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. We met outside.
Yes, I came very early.
Yeah.
Because I thought it would take me longer to get up from 145th was where I was.
Mm-hmm. Early is always better than late, though.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. So
We went and we picked up some toilet paper.
Yeah,
And some water.
Some water.
The essentials.
Yeah, the essentials. When you live alone and you're a guy, this is me. Let me not generalize. I tend to keep procrastinating things. I'm not had toilet paper for
well,
2 days.
and you also said you aren't here much.
I'm not here
you're
that
out
much.
Performing,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
out doing your
performing.
thing.
I'm out doing things. I've not cooked. I really want to cook, but I've not cooked in 3 weeks. And
3 weeks?
I bought groceries and then I brought them back home and got really
here's the
lazy.
It's good for you to just be with your bachelorhood
Yeah,
for now.
now.
Because you never know what's around the corner for you.
Good
You may
advice.
not be a bachelor for long, so then you're going to be cooking with somebody else.
Ooh.
You're going to be nesting and making a home with somebody else. You never know.
You never
I just
know.
have this odd feeling that this may be happening for you in the future.
Really?
I don't know.
Who told you that?
I'm psychic this way.
Okay. Maybe we'll talk about that later. Yeah. I heard a voiceover voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was so funny. This
Yeah.
guy in France. A voice? Are you referring to the review?
No.
Oh, this guy in France, because
Yeah.
I'm getting quite a bit of international
Okay.
radio play.
Okay.
This guy in France, I think it's from Saint-Denis, France.
Mm-hmm.
But he said a voice. a woman's voice as like a little nugget of a review for my album,
nice.
which was cool. So you weren't referring to that?
No, I wasn't referring to that. Like you were talking, and then there's something you just said I can't remember.
Yeah.
About you see that in the future for me. Then I heard that voice. It's like
the
a
voiceover. Right.
Voiceover phenomenon going on. Yeah.
Well, you can see I incorporated the voiceover stuff into my music.
Exactly.
Like a number of places. Mm-hmm. There's something about wedding the speaking voice with the singing voice that I really love.
Do you want to talk about that part of you that
the voiceover part?
Yeah, voiceover career. Because you were telling me.
Well, I did it for years.
Yeah.
I mean, I love voiceover. I mean, there's something that's wonderful about being in the booth. You don't need to worry about your hair or what you look like, or you just go in there. It's just you, the mic, your headphones, the booth. The people are out there, and there's just something kind of, I have to say, almost sacred about it.
Yeah.
Even when you're doing commercial work, because sometimes you can get copy and you can bring your individualized life and experience into that copy and make generic commercial copy something more. Because what you're trying to do with voiceover is you're trying to reach that audience out there with something more than just, innocuous commercial copy that just everybody hears.
Yeah.
You're selling them something.
Okay.
But I think it becomes more about you're selling, a wonderful reality, like if you're selling wine.
Yeah.
Or, one of my favorite spots I ever did was for Harrah's Casino in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And it was the easiest spot. In 9 takes we did it. It was a super sexy spot. I can't even remember what the copy was. It was so many years ago. But it was kind of cool because they were black and white commercials. They were shot really beautifully, really tastefully. You wouldn't think so for a Las Vegas casino. And they appeared on the Academy Awards and the Grammy Awards. So I'm watching the Grammys and like, oh, there's my commercial. And then it was like the Academy Award. Oh, there's my commercial.
Awesome.
And but we did it in 9 takes, and it was a bunch of guys. You're phone patching. So I'll be in LA, and I think these guys were actually in Las Vegas, or maybe they were in Ogilvy and Mather in Chicago. I can't remember. But we did it in 9 takes, and it was just so fun and so easy, and it was just So that's why I do love voiceover. I haven't done it recently.
Yeah.
But
there are 2 things that I want to point out. You said 9 takes. People listening will be saying, "Whoa, that's too much." But
oh, really?
Yeah, but me, I know that it's 9 takes is good.
Well,
it's good.
When they have you there.
Yeah.
They want to keep you there.
Exactly.
So they may have had the right take on the second take, even the first take, but they're not going to they're paying.
Exactly.
So they're not going to just go, okay, we've got it. You can go now. They're going to go, you know what, try it a little breathy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's also, you're playing.
Yes.
So it's like this, especially if it's a good rapport with the people, it's not always that. Sometimes you're working with really tough nuggets.
Yeah.
So they'll be very hard on you. They'll give you line readings. Well, could you emphasize this word? Could you, and where they technically break it down, which gets harder because then you lose the flow. You're getting very technical and you're going, okay, let me say this sentence emphasizing this word.
Yeah.
They'll even have you go through it emphasizing different words. And that honestly gets a little tedious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of get out of the flow, you get out of the zone because you're being technical, but it's part of the job. Yeah. But 9 takes took no time at all. So I was in and out in no time.
Okay.
But some of these people, they feel they're paying for your time. So they will keep you there and work the script, even make changes to the script. That's their prerogative.
Yes, yeah. You said you also mentioned voice patching. Can you explain what that means?
What I mean by it, I don't know what other people mean by it, but if I can be in LA and the advertising firm can be in New York City or Chicago, somewhere else. So they are not in studio with you. We're phone patching in. Okay. So I hear them through the headset and they direct us and the engineer what they want from from other locations.
Yeah. And then like the commercial you just talked about, there's your voice and there are some guys in it too. Some guys talking also.
No, it was just me doing the voiceover,
okay.
but it was actually guys directing me.
Okay,
There,
directing.
on that, there happened to be no women.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
just
Okay.
guys.
Okay. Wow. Awesome. Yeah. And you did mostly commercials.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
I did a long a PBS series on starting your own business. And that was actually a lot of copy. I think it was like 26 episodes.
Yeah.
But I didn't do a lot of books on tape. I just was doing mainly voiceover and narration. I didn't get into animation. A lot of people get into animation, which
Yeah.
can be really, really fun. I was just much more of a straight ahead,
Yeah.
But voiceovers have changed. I mean, the market has changed. It used to be just based on casting directors, and it was like a small group of people that were being booked over and over again. But with the internet and this voice bank, it was just opened up to everyone, which was good in some ways and it was not so good in other ways, because it changed the nature of the business for many people.
Yeah.
Many people who were working consistently were all, with high-powered agencies like ICM and CAA. They were not working as much, like the big guys, the big guns. I don't. It's also women too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there happened to be a lot of men who were consistently working. Like the movie trailer voice.
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is. I think he's since died. God, was it John LaFontaine? I don't know. But the internet really forever changed the voiceover business.
Yeah. It changed
at least,
a lot of businesses too.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And it's not all for the good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
The numbers just get so...
Yeah.
And so you don't have as much of a chance of booking.
Yes.
So a lot of people who are making a living at voiceover
With a
were
lot of
not able to do it
experience.
anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's do like a quick switch to music. We're just going to talk about your album right away. It's called Autumn Noir, right?
Right.
Black Autumn, is it?
Well, I mean, if you think of film noir,
Yeah, okay.
that's where it's coming from. That's where it's coming from.
I see what you do.
And the noir, when I believe it was the French who dubbed it film noir.
Yeah.
And it was the perfect word for it. It was the perfect description, because there's this edgy, it's dark edge to that cinema.
Yeah, I see. And
Without
then-
question.
Yeah, and your I think your album picture captures it too. It's
Yeah,
it's
well,
like black and white, but not totally black and white.
Right.
Noir, basically.
Right. Well, the funny thing about that shot is I shot this with my uber talented friend, John Duke Kish.
Okay.
And I went to him to his house in Rhinebeck, New York. And I said, John, I just need to shoot some basic headshots, very basic headshots. But for some strange reason, I brought this fabulous gown. And I just thought, well, who knows? Maybe I'll throw the gown on and we'll just, John and I kind of play when we work together. We experiment different things. And, he's just honestly a genius. He's a ex-Vogue photographer. He's retired now. You would never know it because he looks super young, but he's retired technically. But he's always working on his craft. And so I showed up, and it was of this really overcast day, and we didn't know if we were going to be able to shoot outside because there was no light. But then all of a sudden, I looked out his window and I go, "Oh my God, John, there's light peeking through the clouds." And we're like, "Oh my God." So I threw the gown on. He goes, "Just throw the gown on." And this was not for the headshot, obviously, but he wanted to shoot somebody on this hill he had. He had this thing in his head.
Yeah.
And so we rushed out there. And I remember I didn't even have shoes on. And you're thinking about ticks and everything. I think it's Dutchess County has a lot of ticks, but I wasn't worried about that. So I'm like barefooted in this fabulous dress, and we're running out to this hill, and the light was this extraordinary mix of overcast and this sort of golden light piercing through the overcast. So it was this just extraordinary light.
Yeah.
And I stood on this hill, and he just shot me. And it was really quick. I did my own hair and makeup.
Nice.
And we captured this shot. And
Yeah.
this was
It's amazing.
before... This was before I knew I needed an album cover. It was before I even knew I was doing an album called Autumn Noir.
Wow.
I was working on the show at the time, but I did the show in New York, and it got really, really good reviews with cabaret scenes and
The show is
bistro
also
awards.
called Autumn Noir.
Yeah, it was Autumn Noir, Echoes of Jazz, my
okay.
show. And I only did one night, and I was working with a really talented Gary Versace, the pianist, who was musical directing it. And he's worked with Kurt Elling and Madeleine Peyroux, and super talented guy. And I just had a wonderful experience working with him. Amazing musician. And he's the one who said, after we did the show just this one night at Pangea, which is a small club in the East Village, he was the one, look, you've got to record this. Just record it. And of course I'm thinking, okay, I'll record it really, really quickly.
Yeah.
It never works out that way, does it?
No.
We think, look, this does not have to take a year and a half,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We always say that to
Yeah,
ourselves.
totally,
And,
yeah.
it's not, I'm going to do this in less than 6 months. We're going to bang it out and get it done. But it didn't quite work out.
Nope. Not if you want to do it well. Not if you want to do it well.
I think you have to sort of go with the flow.
Yeah.
And I worked with one person to contract it. He found amazing people, amazing band members to put together for this sort of basic band tracks. It was essentially Steve Tyrell's Carlisle band.
Okay.
Steve Tyrell, he's a jazz singer, really a good jazz singer and well known. He's done some movie soundtracks. He took over Bobby Short's 1 month stint at the Carlisle in December.
Okay.
So, in fact, they're probably gearing up to do it now. But just a really talented band, a mix of East Coast guys and West Coast guys. So you've got Quinn Johnson on the keys, you've got Kevin Weinard on drums and percussion. I think they have Bob Mann on guitar. I think there's David Fink on the bass for Steve Tyrell. Just a talented bunch of guys. So that's the band that I got to do the basic tracking. And then we called in amazing guys like Harry Allen, the wonderful saxophone player, David Mann, another amazing sax player, and then Jim Hines with the flugelhorn and the trumpet. So it was just, I felt remarkably blessed at the dudes that played on this album. The dudes and one amazing cellist who was female. I only had one female, so if I do another album, I definitely want to get more females in. It wasn't planned that way.
If you want to get all female, you definitely can, though.
I'm all for, I love a mix of everything.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I'm just saying.
I know, absolutely. But I just, I think it would be nice to have more of a yin-yang, estrogen, testosterone balance in the next one. But I just loved all the guys I worked with,
Nice.
just
Awesome.
amazingly talented guys, but really good to work with, and guys that were just, you can hear it in the album. I think they're just so into it. They're just giving 100%. They're not phoning it in. It's just there's nothing usual about what they brought to the table, as far as I was concerned.
It definitely comes through.
Yeah.
What's your water? Okay.
I won't hit it.
Okay.
Your water runneth over.
Okay.
No.
Another thing that came through for me was, I didn't know if you were going for this, but the intimacy of the album. Each song I listened to, I just felt like you were singing to me. The arrangement is nice arrangement, well rich arrangement, but it didn't take away from the intimacy. It's like I'm listening, I feel like you were singing to me. The spoken words kind of enhances that also, but just your voice, just the way you delivered, I don't know, were you going for anything? Were you going for intimacy? You know?
I was, so you've just made me super happy.
Nice.
What was it? I think I had 4 adjectives that I was going for when and I didn't even mean to. I just wrote down these 4 adjectives as far as just high points of what I wanted to hit. Whether I succeed in hitting them or not, we have to sort of set goals for ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think they were intimate, sexy, powerful, and effortless. So I was absolutely going for that intimacy. I absolutely wanted to have each listener felt that I was singing to them personally.
It definitely was effortless too.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you don't want to show the work.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the thing I love about Nat King Cole so much. His he had this high musicianship, but you listen to Nat, and he makes it seem so easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he just, with Nat particularly, I feel every time I hear him, no matter what he is singing, even the fun stuff or the more intimate stuff or the swing stuff, he always makes me feel it's all going to be all right. Don't you feel that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even more than Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
You get that from Bing Crosby, but Nat, it's like sweet butter on warm, fresh bread.
Definitely. Yeah. And I kind of feel like, interesting you just said that, because whenever I watch his trio, I'm like, this is a weird trio. I don't think they have a drummer. I don't know.
They don't?
I don't think there's something that's missing. They usually have, well, from what I watch, they usually have a guitarist, a pianist, and a bass player. You know, there's hardly a drummer. I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, but I knew there's something always.
I'm not remembering well
there's
enough.
something. There's one basic thing that quartets have these days that he didn't have, and I'm like, this guy has to be very confident and very chill.
Well, I mean,
you know, and very relaxed to be able to just say, okay, I'm gonna
I
play
feel
this
like
without
he
worrying about
completed
drama.
Right. I mean, like his tracks were so complete just from what he played that the other stuff is just sort of icing.
Yes, yeah.
So if indeed, and I would have to like go back and look at the videos, but if indeed he only had a guitar player,
like from the live performances I see, it's like piano, guitar, and bass.
Well, then the guitar player is obviously percussive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
If it's a good guitar player, there's so many percussive elements. You know, I did a bit of a duo with Sean Harkness here in New York City. We were calling it Rock and Hark, and that's actually where Libertango came out of.
Okay.
I composed that for us for Rock and Heart. We haven't been performing lately. But Sean is a really talented guitarist and really fun to work with, and just another really good guy. And I remember he was remarkably, it was just he and I, guitar and voice, and he sang a little bit too. And he was so percussive in his playing, banging on the actual body of the guitar, that we didn't need drums and percussion with him.
I see.
And so when he did Libertango, and again, I wrote it for us. We talked about like, well, do you have a favorite piece of music that you love, that you would love to hear lyrics to? And I said, oh my God, I love Astor Piazzolla's Libertango. And of course it was just an instrumental. Grace Jones, I think it was in the 80s, the amazing Grace Jones. The incomparable Grace Jones. Has there ever been another person on this earth? Like, talk about fierce. She was fierce before people were saying fierce.
Yeah, true.
She created fierce, and with that bone structure and those lips and the androgynous vibe of her. Oh my God, who didn't love Grace Jones? But she was, I think, the first person who took Libertango and wrote lyrics to it, but they were very different lyrics.
Okay.
And she changed it up. I stuck a little bit closer to the actual Libertango, and made it really about. It was very much the tango lyrics. Hers was much more about a predator that was stalking its prey, and that just didn't quite vibe with me.
Yeah.
I think you had to be kind of in the a little bit of the druggy haze of the 80s.
Or you have to just be Grace Jones to pull that.
Exactly. So it was just, I was like, no, those lyrics just do not, those aren't. So I just thought, let me just listen to this track and see what comes.
Yeah.
And these tango lyrics came. I will admit that I had someone in mind when I wrote them. And interestingly enough, this is somebody who I have amazing electric chemistry with, but we haven't ever acted on it.
Okay.
So every time
I get that.
But that's what's in that.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting thing. Like as
acted
composers,
it out.
sometimes we don't need something that has been acted upon, but it's like we play with that energy of chemistry.
Yeah.
Is my relief. Say yes, say no, let go, come here. In the dance of opposites, the truth becomes clear.
Sometimes it's the things that you don't act upon that are even more powerful.
Yeah, because you imagine, you're free to imagine. You're not restricted to what you already know.
Right.
You're not restricted by what you
Right.
already know. Yeah.
Right.
That's nice.
So then you
That's great.
dance with that energy, and it's
Yeah.
almost more free than if you actually acted upon it.
Yeah.
But that's in that song. Most people don't know that.
Yeah. That
I'm
was
not,
the
I'm not
first
going to
song.
tell you who it is.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to. We'll find out whether you like it or not. It might take years, but we will find out.
That's actually one of Libertango's the one from the album that's getting a lot of play.
Okay.
A lot of
Yeah.
international radio play. Like
That's
it's been
the
really
one-
embraced.
Nice. That's the one that captured me. That,
Oh, it is?
Yeah, the first one that
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play this again.
Yeah.
Then your take on Miss Brown to you?
Yeah. Well, that was an interesting one because I was actually, when we did it for the show, Autumn Noir Echoes of Jazz, that one night show, we actually had it more of a bit of a swing. There was a bit of a swing to it. I mean, it was a dark swing, but it was still a swing. And we got into the studio and we just were kind of feeling like, what would happen if we just dropped it low?
Yeah.
Like, what would happen? Because most people do that as a swing. I mean, if you think of the one person who sang it over and over and recorded it over and over was Billie Holiday. And she usually, she had it at a pace,
Yeah.
So we just sort of dropped it low, and it was, I don't know, we liked the sort of dark edginess of it. And it was new for me. I had to really explore that. When you take something back in tempo, it changes everything. It changes the emotional temperature of the song, and you have to kind of feel into that. So it took me a bit to kind of feel my way into that. But then once I found the groove, I mean, it just felt right, you know?
You know, when I heard that song when I was a kid, I didn't know what it was about. But till now, I still don't quite know what that song is about.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't think anybody has keyed into this, but I did some Googling and exploring and investigating. I think that song is code. It's code. Brown is another word for heroin. Miss is another word for inject. So I actually think that was a coded song for kind of embracing heroin. So if you're listening to it, you might think as a woman singing about another woman, you might think it's like, a bit of a woman on woman love song. Miss Brown, you know, when she comes into town, she's my baby.
Yeah.
But if you read it from the standpoint, and I swear if you Google this, nobody else has talked about this song possibly being coded. And why did this become Billie Holiday's song? And we all know that she did do heroin. To me, that's the secret of this song. And that's why I love to sort of include it in this mix of noir songs. It's like that edgy opium den vibe, you know?
Thanks for explaining.
Look, that's just my take. I'm not saying I'm right.
No, well, thanks for giving your perspective, because I have struggled with it. Each time I hear it, I'm like, what is she singing about?
Well,
this should be a man singing this song.
I know, but I liked the edginess of the kind of androgyny of it. But then when I started exploring, I said, I can't even remember how I found it, but I was Googling words and coded words, and that's how I found that brown is another word for heroin, and miss is another word for inject. So she's my baby.
Yeah.
It's a whole new thing.
A lovable, huggable. I think you're right.
I mean, think about it.
I
it
think
changes
you're right.
the whole vibe. And
You're totally right.
I brought this up to Debbie Bush Whiting, who is the grandchild of Richard Whiting, who was one of the composers, and she was blown away by it. Her mother was Margaret Whiting, the marvelous singer, who I absolutely revere. And so I brought this up. Debbie was at the show, and I brought it up to her because she was sort of blown away by what I brought up with this idea of the coded aspect of this song.
Yeah.
And we've got some music outside.
Yeah.
We've got some neighborhood atmosphere going.
That's Manhattan for you.
I know. We are definitely in Manhattan. So anyway, she was so excited by the idea of like, oh my God, I might have a whole other understanding of this song. So even she lent some credibility to my idea that this might be coded.
That's deep.
I know.
Sometimes, you definitely did your research. Seriously. Because that song has... Now, another song that I paid close attention to was Voodoo Swing. Yeah. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, that one, it's the second song I ever wrote. My first song was Slow Burn, which is also on the album. And I wrote them, and then I sort of musically fleshed both of those songs, Slow Burn and Voodoo Swing, with Bill Brendel, super talented guy on the West Coast.
Yeah.
He's worked with Lamont Dozier and some really good people. So Bill and I co-produced my first album. And I started writing, and I remember I brought my first song to him, which was Slow Burn, and I was so nervous. I mean, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if this is any good. And it was Bill who said, this is so interesting. You've got such a weird form to it, an interesting form to it. It's almost like an African field song. And so he actually gave me the confidence to move forward. So my second song was Voodoo Swing, which was most people don't know what that song is about, but it was birthed out of a very difficult biographical thing that was going on in my life. And I remember saying, "Get off my back, you monkey." Literally just coming out and saying, "Get off my back, you monkey. Get off my back, you devil." And I remember the burgeoning songwriter in me stepped out of that emotional reality that I was in when I actually spoke those words out loud. And I thought, that sounds like a song. So I can't even remember how I found the voodoo part of it, the voodoo swing. But it's very much about, I think all of us have things in our lives from family and biography that nag at us and that it almost feels like the blessing is the curse.
Yeah.
And if we can kind of work it and turn it into a gift, it's marvelous. But there are times when it just feels like a curse.
Yeah.
You know, if you think of family addictions that are passed down, mental illnesses that are passed down, or anything that is that you're almost sort of fighting a genetics.
Yeah.
You can feel it. It's not just yours. It's something that's been handed down for better or worse, and you're forced to work with it, and you want to make it into something positive rather than giving in to the negative or the dark aspects. So that's actually where the song comes from. But the really funny thing is we did the basic tracking for that, and the song wasn't coming together with basic tracks. And the initial percussion that was sent to me by the West Coast, we didn't do it live. It just wasn't working. And I realized, oh my God, I need to do this live in the studio with Bill Moss, who was the great engineer at Flux Studios in New York City, which is a great recording studio down in the East Village. We just said, we need to do this live. We can't remotely do this. There's some things that you can overdub. The accordion on Libertango was overdubbed from Bill Brendel did it, my first producer on my first album. He did it, and he sent it from the West Coast, and it was brilliant. He's the one who actually turned me on to Astor Piazzolla, Bill Brendel. But on Voodoo Swing, we just had to do it live. So I contacted one of the best drummers I know. He's working with Sergio Mendes now, Leo Costa.
Awesome.
Brilliant guy. With an amazing, wonderful beard. He's got one of those beards. But he's the one who said, I have the percussionist for you, Mauro De Fosco and Davi Vieira. Mauro has done a lot of percussion with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Just a really great, really talented, really driven guy. And I remember I just wanted to hire both of them because they work together, Davi and Mauro. So they came into the studio at Flux. They brought all their percussive instruments, their drums, and I mean, these two guys gave me everything. They stayed for the entire session. You know, some musicians, they come in, they give you 2, 3 takes, and they're out.
I gotta go.
They're like, I'm out. These guys, layer after layer after layer, like they were just so into it. And then I remember Mauro was like, okay, let's listen to it back. And then Mauro was helping edit the percussion. So there was so much collaboration of the heart. And it was just, they were so into it, and I just felt so honored that these super talented dudes were giving me so much of themselves.
Awesome.
So to me, and then we had Harry Allen play the sax on that, so he added a whole different dimension. So it pulled together, and then in this way that exceeded my expectations, because then Bill Moss went ahead, the engineer, he went ahead and mixed it, and it was like, Bill, come on now.
Nice.
You made me a really happy girl.
That's good. That's good.
And that's my baby. I mean, that's, you know, I wrote I wrote that, you know, with the help of Bill Brendel, who helped me musically flesh it out. I mean, that's one of my babies.
Yeah.
So
nice. You're listening to Doing Jazz with Lawrence Chuno. The guest on this episode is vocalist Abigail Rockwell. Her new album, Autumn Noir, is available for download and streaming. If you're on Spotify, please follow the Doing Jazz playlist, a one-stop playlist for songs by all the Doing Jazz guests so far. Let's go back to the very beginning.
Oh my God.
Where are you from?
Hudson Valley, New York.
Okay.
Poughkeepsie, New York.
Okay.
So I essentially grew up in the country.
Yeah.
I grew up on 26 acres, and we were surrounded by a dairy farm. So it was, I don't know if you know Currier and Ives, but they used to do these marvelous landscape paintings of, sleighs and farmland and, or I guess it's like sleighs in the snow. And that's what I think of when I think of Currier and Ives. And that's what the Chorney farm looked like, this dairy farm. And it was marvelous because the farm was in a bend in the road. Unfortunately, it's been torn down since then, but I grew up with this amazing dairy farm right next to us. So right out my window were cows grazing, So
and you're not too far from the city, right?
No. And I happen to be staying there now,
Yeah.
just to help my father out and stuff. 'Cause
When you were younger, how often did you come to New York City?
my parents did not take me into the city very much.
Okay.
So I was very unfamiliar with it. They didn't take me to Radio City Music Hall like most parents. I never went to the Statue of Liberty. We just never did that. I don't think my parents really resonated with the city that much.
Yeah.
They lived in the city for like a year
Okay.
when they were newly married,
Yeah.
and then they just moved to Dutchess County and kind of stayed there.
Yeah. Are you an only child?
Am I an only child?
Yeah.
I do have a brother.
Okay.
I do.
Older brother?
I feel like an only child sometimes, but I have an older brother.
Okay. Okay. Your family artistic in general?
For the most part, I do come from a family of artists.
Okay.
My one grandfather, Arthur Emery Sudler, he had a big advertising firm.
Okay.
Sudler and Hennessy, and they were actually behind the first NBC Peacock. I don't know if you remember,
Yeah,
but years
yeah.
and years and years and
Yes,
years
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
It was that first big peacock, Technicolor peacock
Yes,
that
yeah.
appeared on the screen,
Yeah.
and of course they've changed it.
Yeah.
And now that it's just like a little logo.
Yeah, yeah.
But in the beginning, it was this marvelous
peacock, yeah.
peacock
Yeah.
with this Technicolor.
Yeah.
And Herb Llewellyn worked for Sudler and Hennessy for my grandfather, Arthur Sudler. And he's the one who came up with that peacock. So he was also that grandfather was a weekend painter of the Ashcan School.
Yeah.
It's a certain kind of painting of the 30s. And then my other grandfather was the American illustrator Norman Rockwell.
Okay.
So a lot of people are still familiar with,
Yeah.
he painted Saturday Evening Post covers for many, many years. He had a 60-year career
Okay.
as an illustrator, and, he painted the Four Freedoms.
Wow.
And then my other grandmother, who was married to
Yeah.
Arthur Sudler, she was a graphic artist, incredibly talented. So it's just, and then my mother was a book illustrator, and my father, Thomas Rockwell, he wrote How to Eat Fried Worms, and which was a very successful, a very beloved children's book that's
Yeah.
still in print after 45 years,
Wow.
and a movie was made of it.
You come from like a royalty from royal artistic royalty kind of.
And again,
like,
there's sort of a great blessing, and then there's a little bit of
yeah.
I mean,
I understand.
artists are highly sensitive.
Highly sensitive.
There is, there's some alcoholism there.
Yep.
There's some mental illness there.
They want to be free, but freedom will hurt you sometimes.
Right.
Freedom might even kill you sometimes.
Right. And I think that's, the artist is always struggling with that
Yeah.
freedom and commitment,
Yeah,
that dance
that
of like, I
balance.
don't want to get locked in
Yeah.
because it will lock my work in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, but ultimately I think the freedom defined is the freedom within yourself. So if you're married, fine, but it's
Yeah.
like you can still have that freedom
Yeah.
within the confines of marriage or
Yeah.
whatever. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to
Yes.
exclude commitment.
Yes.
But I've struggled with that.
I mean, we all
Yeah.
do. We all do in
Yeah.
our own different ways.
Right.
Did you go to school formally for something in the arts? Like, did you go to college for something?
Yeah,
in the arts?
I went to SUNY Purchase,
Okay.
acting conservatory.
Oh, okay. They have a good one.
And it was part of the league. There was a league at one point that had Juilliard and NYU and Carnegie Mellon, and Purchase was actually part of that league. The league disbanded.
Yeah.
But Purchase was part of that league. So it
Okay.
was just, we had remarkable trainers. You
Yeah.
know, there was a voice trainer, Chuck Jones, who was just brilliant. Israel Hicks was our dean, this super cool guy. He's since left us. Chuck Jones has since left us. But I just feel like they were such talented, huge personalities. People like that never leave us.
Yeah.
Don't
yeah.
they still feel like they're here?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
it's like I'm saying they left the earth, but it's like, no, Chuck
Yeah.
is still with me. No,
I
Israel's
know.
still with me. I had remarkable training there, but I left that school early because I felt a little bit confined. I just did,
Yeah.
you know. And then I went to Seattle, was doing theater up there. I went with my boyfriend to Seattle, and then I went to LA, and then I was in LA for
Okay.
many years, and then that's when I really got into the voiceovers and
Yeah, yeah. What other cities did you live in?
say it again.
What other cities did you live in? Like, you lived in LA, you lived in Seattle.
Seattle, yeah, basically just
Basically,
LA,
that's okay.
Seattle, and then my mother passed away. Believe it or not, exactly 8 years ago today.
Wow.
So this is the anniversary of her passing. So it was funny because I knew I was doing this interview, and I was like, "Oh, I'll be all right. I'll be all right." But she's been very much with me. This first, are both your parents alive?
No, my dad passed away in 2007.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, 2007. That's 11 years now.
Your mom's still with
Yeah,
us?
my mom is. Yeah.
But don't you find that certain years hit you, the anniversary of their death?
Yes.
Certain years you kind of like, it's
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
And then other
Other
years,
years, like,
maybe if
everything.
it's something, if you go through a really intense year, they come up
They
and
come
you just
back,
would
yeah.
give anything to be
Yeah.
able to speak to them about
Yes,
it.
yeah.
And I think that's how I feel. It's been a super intense, remarkably difficult year that I've been through. And so I think there's part of me that would just give anything to be able to talk to my mom right now. I mean, there's been some wonderful stuff that's happened this year. I mean, I birthed my album. The album came out, October 10th, just in time for autumn. So it was kind of perfect. And then I'm also editing the definitive edition of my grandfather, Norman Rockwell's 1960 autobiography, My Adventures as an Illustrator. And I had to write the introduction for it. And that I took that task on, and I did not expect to take that task on and also have to be finishing up the album and finishing my website. So there's been a lot going on this
Yeah,
year. Like, that's
it's
a
good.
lot.
It's good, but it's good.
It's good.
Busy
It's good.
is like good busy.
It's
like
good, but
yeah.
sometimes it's a little bit head exploding. I mean, you're like, I've been moving. I've been in the process of moving. So
You're moving
it's
to the city.
No. I'm just moving from where I was in the Hudson Valley.
Okay. So you plan to stay in Hudson Valley?
No, I'm moving out of the Hudson Valley, but I'm still the same distance from the
same
city.
distance. Okay.
So I'm within easy driving distance to
okay.
the city, so
Okay.
it's fine.
It's fine.
I'm still in the country.
Okay.
I needed that kind of healing vibe of the
Yeah.
country. But the editing the autobiography, you say yes to these things, not really knowing what you're saying yes to. And it was just a much more monumental task than I realized. I ended up curating all new illustrations for it. I went up to the archives at the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, and I culled photographs that haven't necessarily been used by other biographers or seen before. I really wanted to come up with things that, my grandfather's been gone for about 40 years, I believe. He passed away in 78. So I just wanted to come up with work that people hadn't necessarily seen before, photographs, a part of him that they had not experienced before. So it just sort of expanded their view and comprehension of pop. I call him pop, but Norman Rockwell as a man and an artist. So they get just a more expansive view of who he was as a man and as an artist.
Yeah.
But it's just been a lot more work. And then, of course, I wrote the introduction, which is not a fluffy introduction. I brought in a lot of information that no other biographer knows about. You know, for instance, very few people know this, but I talked to his tenant. There was a tenant one summer and who contacted me when there was this whole biography controversy in 2013. That's a whole other story. But anyway, a lot of people contacted me in that biography controversy, and he was one of those people who was deeply upset by this biography that had been written. It was a falsified biography. And he had known Pop personally because he was a tenant there that one summer. And he would sit there while Pop painted in the studio because Pop actually liked people to keep him company when he was painting. If he wasn't painting a face or something that required like total attention, he actually loved to have people read to him or talk to him. He didn't mind people being in the studio with him. So he would tell this man, Mark Kramer, these stories. The interesting thing about Mark Kramer is he's the founding director of the Neiman program of narrative journalism at Harvard. Wow. So, and the narrative journalism is all about truth. So it was just amazing that was the source that was coming to me. You know, you can't get a better source than that. So when he told me stories, I'm hardly going to question him. You can't ask for a more credible source than that. So he told me these stories that after Pop painted The Problem We All Live With, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it's the iconic civil rights painting of Ruby Bridges going to school with the marshals, where Pop made that choice to cut off the marshals' heads. Like you don't see the marshals' heads, and you just see the African-American little girl in the white dress. And it's just become a beloved, iconic image now. It was even in the White House with Obama. You know, it was loaned to the White House while Obama was there for a certain period of time, which was pretty wonderful to think of that being there with Obama. I think Pop would have loved that. But after Pop painted that painting for Look magazine, after he got out of painting, doing work for the Saturday Evening Post, he was freer to paint all different kinds of subjects. And so that's why he got into the civil rights paintings. So he painted this, and the NAACP sent him a lifetime membership card. And he was so excited at getting this in the mail, but there was no one home. So Mark Kramer, who was staying in the back tenant apartment, told me this story that Pop bounded up the stairs of the tenant apartment and banged on his door, and Mark opens it, and there's Pop waving the lifetime membership to the NAACP, really excited because he had to share it with somebody. And so he wanted to share it with the tenant because the tenant was home.
It's so emotional because you're saying it, but it means a lot. Me being a black person, and him, even Norman Rockwell is somebody that people just hear about. It's almost like he's still living with us, but that name is just like...
Because his work is still living
Norman
with
Rockwell,
us.
Norman Rockwell.
Yeah.
So that thing he did it out of like, what I'm fighting for is paying off. Like, I'm sure he's put a lot that a lot of people didn't know about. Maybe you see his painting, but you don't know all the things that were going through in his head, the things he fought with, the things that inspired him to do what he's doing towards civil rights. You don't even know maybe the people that he's helped along the way that he hasn't mentioned. Maybe people of color that he's done stuff for that nobody knows about. So him getting that and running upstairs to show somebody, there's a lot of weight to that. To me, I think there's a lot of weight to that. There's just so much to that. That's a beautiful story, you know.
You just made me cry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You
Wow.
know, I didn't mean to.
No. There's nothing. Look, there is nothing wrong with tears. You were speaking truth, so I was just responding. That's all. You were speaking remarkably perceptive truth. You probably haven't read that much about Pop, but it is amazing that you said what you said, and that it's just such an astute assessment of how he worked, because I was surprised when I really investigated his life and work, which I've been doing for the last 5 years. It started out because of this biography. So I had to kind of find out who my grandfather was in order to kind of refute this falsified biography. But then the investigation took on a life of its own, and I really started investigating it just for the sake of the investigation, of finding out more about what he was like, what was going on with the family, because it helped me understand him and it helped me understand myself better as a person and a family member and as an artist. But he poured everything into his art. But what people don't realize, some people who don't really look at his work, he painted over 4,000 paintings. Wow. I mean, he was prolific. But a lot of people will dismiss him and say, oh, he just painted white America. And they forget about the civil rights paintings. And they don't realize that he, for the large majority of his career, he was working for the Saturday Evening Post. And the Saturday Evening Post had a stricture on painting African Americans or people of a darker color in anything but subservient positions. They had this restriction. It wasn't his restriction. So, and he was a commercial artist. So he kind of had, you have to do what they want you to do. Yeah. You're not a fine arts painter. No. You can't just paint whatever you want. So
they are your clients.
But most people don't know about that built-in restriction. So Pop would do these things to sort of sneak around that stricture. And there was this one of the Statue of Liberty, and I think this was from the 40s. And there are these workers working on the torch of Lady Liberty, and he made those workers different colors. And again, no one really noticed. And he put himself among those. One of them was quite obviously a man of darker color, and then Pop put himself in there. And I think that's a big statement in the 40s, that he's putting himself working with these people of darker color, working on this. Think of the symbol, the torch of the Statue of Liberty. And this is meaningful to you because you also come from a different country. What was it? You came from Nigeria in 2000?
In 2000, yeah.
So it's like, and you think of the symbol of what that means and also what our country is facing now.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost unspeakable to me how immigrants are being treated and how immigrants are being spoken of. When we're supposed to be a country that the one country that opens our arms and says, we will take you because what makes America wonderful and what makes America great is this tapestry of people from all different countries. Because technically I'm from immigrants. Everybody other than Native Americans are from different countries. So it's like we've lost that temporarily. We have lost focus because of certain people who are, doing what they're doing to spin people's heads around. But we will
selfish things. They're doing it for just their selfish.
Right.
People don't know that Trump is all he wanted was a name. He wanted to have a platform to maybe launch a TV station, relaunch a TV career, write books, make money. And he ended up in the White House, and he's doing whatever, and people are following him. It's just crazy. I'm like, this guy is just selfish.
I'm a New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker first and foremost.
Okay.
So we New Yorkers, we know who Donald is,
Trump is.
and who he always has been. And we've been kind of forced to grow up with him. So there's almost nothing more to say. Like, we know Donald. We know what he's about and what he's always been about. But I think what's important is the images that my grandfather painted are more relevant than ever before. If you think of the Golden Rule from 1961, where it's this tapestry of all different people of different faiths and colors and mixes. It's a tapestry of there's a black child, there's a Korean child, there's a Caucasian child, and it's this wonderful tapestry of people And it's the golden rule: do unto others as you would have do unto you.
Yeah.
And those words are painted in gold on the painting.
Awesome.
And so that message of goodwill and tolerance and believing in the goodness of people, that to me is what runs through. That's the vein of truth that runs through all of Pop's paintings. That is still, not only is it relevant now, it's more relevant than ever before. So there's nothing old-fashioned about Pop's work.
Yeah.
And there's nothing strictly white America about Pop's work.
Awesome.
He painted the progress of this country.
Yes,
He painted when the first televisions were coming in. When people were putting up aerials, and in the back there's the church steeple.
Yeah.
And his statement was, this quiet statement as a painter was, is the television aerial replacing faith in the community?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in some ways, for a while, it did. I think we're still trying to. America is an ongoing experiment.
Yes,
We're
it
still
is.
finding our way.
Footing. Yeah. So true. All right. We're going to conclude with a little game.
Game?
Yeah. It's very simple, but very difficult.
Oh, no.
You'll see why.
I'm usually not good at games. And don't ask me to bowl, because I'm really, really terrible at bowling.
That's okay. You have a great partner in Barack Obama. He can't bowl at all. So,
He's not good at games?
No, at bowling.
Oh, at bowling.
Yeah.
Because he's good at
Yeah,
basketball,
and
b-ball.
other thing. Yeah, but he can bowl.
Oh, I feel much better now. Because I thought Obama was good at everything. I mean, he moves well, he speaks well,
he
he's
can't
brilliant.
dance either. Yeah. Okay. So this game is called Turn Up.
Tunnel?
Turn up, mute. Turn up, mute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'll give you two options. Very simple. I'll give you two options. You turn one up and we mute the other.
Okay.
And the one you turn up, it doesn't mean that you necessarily prefer it to the other one. It just means this is how you're feeling at the moment.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
So you turn up what you're feeling more.
Yeah. At the moment. At the moment.
Oh my God.
Maybe if you step out of here, you could decide to.
And you're doing this after I've had an hour talk with you, and I'm in the heady atmosphere of our conversation.
You'll be fine. All right. Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald.
Turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up.
No, you gotta choose one.
What?
Yeah, I told you, it's a simple game, but it's hard.
Oh, this is evil.
Yeah, choose one for now.
Sarah, turn
okay.
up.
All right.
But I will not say turn down on Ella. But I will say turn up on Sarah.
Okay, good. Okay. There's a Sarah Vaughan song that I really like. It's not even one of the older ones. It's I think it's her last album. It's called Obsession. It's a song.
Okay,
it has
that is not a song I know.
It's a samba. It's like
Yeah.
It has the album has a Brazilian feel, but the song is called Obsession. Maybe she wasn't the first person that sang the song.
Okay, I'm gonna have to absolutely when we get off.
I don't know if you
as I
like
drive
it.
home, I'm gonna check that song out.
Okay. All right.
One of my favorite songs recently is her live rendition of Speak Low.
Speak Low.
How did you know I was gonna say that?
I know that. Speak Low, and then Misty, her live Misty too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sarah, don't even get me started. Okay.
Don't get me started on Sarah. That's really where I found my voice, is through Sarah.
Nice. She'll make you do that. Yeah. All right, another one. Los Angeles, New York City.
Turn up LA.
Turn up LA. Why? It's not cold.
I go out to California and I feel like my soul has been watered, which I know is really a weird thing to say because they're experiencing drought and such apocalyptic fire conditions.
Yeah.
And my heart is absolutely broken. This whole year they started with the mudslides in Montecito, that I saw those mudslides and I was devastated because I love Montecito. It's a sacred place for me. But there's something about California and the golden light and the beach and the water and the wind going through the eucalyptus trees, maybe because it's so different from where I was born. It just, that's my, I feel like my heart is in California. New York is like the guy who looks really, really, really good on paper. And then you meet him.
That's true.
And it's just not quite the right fit. It doesn't mean like he doesn't have brilliant things about him.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're not really glad to have met him and danced with him and maybe samba'd with him. New York gave me my edge back. So God bless New York.
Yeah.
But my heart is in California and in LA.
One thing, okay, maybe to complete your description of the guy, I feel like it's the guy that's good on paper, but when you meet him, you realize you gotta work for everything.
Oh,
I realize that everything is work. Everything takes work.
Yes. Work and toil and sweat and but yet at the same time, does anything give you your edge back like New York?
No, oh my gosh,
Nope.
whips
There's
into
no other
shape.
city for it.
Nope.
So and there's no other city like it. So for that, I'm
Yeah.
thankful to New York.
Okay, good. All right, the last one.
I
Ready?
birthed my album in New York.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
of course, yeah. That's the
bring it
best
on.
place to do it.
Right.
Yeah, if you're in this business. Voodoo Swing, Slow Burn.
I'd have to say Voodoo Swing.
Okay.
It
You already talked
turn
about
up,
it. So
turn up,
Voodoo Swing.
Voodoo Swing,
Yeah.
just because of that percussion.
Yeah.
I was so happy, and I was actually proud of myself for musical directing that and bringing that track together by myself.
Okay, nice.
Of course, with Bill Moss's help, but
Yeah.
I really had to step in and musical direct that, and bring it up to where it ended up being, and then working with Mauro and Davi.
Nice.
Brazilian percussionists.
Yeah. Awesome.
They've kind of ruined me. Brazilian percussionist, because Leo Costa is a Brazilian percussionist. I'm not saying that the other percussionists aren't great, but recently I've been a little bit ruined by the Brazilians in a really good way.
Yeah, that's good. Wow, that's good.
But of course, I love Antonio Carlos Jobim. I mean, that's music of my soul. So Brazil and singing in Portuguese. I wish I spoke Portuguese, but singing in Portuguese.
You will learn.
I do. Elise. That's why I love Elise Regina. She's one of my leading lights that I follow as far as singers.
Do you?
We got away from the game.
No, that's the end.
Okay.
That's the end.
Oh, that's the end?
Yeah, three. Just
okay,
three
that
questions.
wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
You were a little. That was a bit of a devil's point with Sarah and Ella. But
anyway, this is about you, Abigail Rockwell. Thank you for coming on Doing Jazz.
it's been an honor, and it's been fun.
Thank you.
So much fun.
Thank you. I hope we can do this again.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Later. Bye. Good.
Ride your Gucci and run, break the spell, don't look back. It's time to have some fun. Just get on the right track. Get off my back, you hellcat. Get off my back, you devil. Let it go, let it roll. Sticks and stones, let them go. Run away from here. Say no to Beelzebub, the succubus, the thief-all-fun. Close the door to the bugaboo. Know that mumbo-jumbo too. Grab your Gucci and run. Turn the horror on its head. It's time to be the sun.